It's the Bigger Than Me podcast with your hosts, Aaron Pete.
For our 100th episode, we are sitting down with the man, the myth, the legend, Terrance T.Wrecks McKinney. I am so excited to record this. He is a prospect in the UFC. He's worked incredibly hard to get here. He set such an example for other people, and I'm so excited to speak with him today. Terrance T.Wrecks McKinney, it is such a pleasure to sit down with you today. Would you mind introducing yourself for people who might not know?
What's up, you guys? It's Terrance T.Wrecks McKinney. I fight in the UFC lightweight division, and I'm 13-5 right now, so that's 13 wins, 5 losses, and I got a 100% finish rate in every fight. I'm gonna look to keep that going.
100% finish rate, and we're at our 100th episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, sir. It's an honor.
Can we first start a little bit about your background? I obviously watched the interview between you and Ariel, and I think you have just an incredible story of resilience, of overcoming adversity. I think you bring such a positive mindset. For me, my grandmother played a real role in my life. She's a role model to me to this day. I know you have a similar relationship. Would you mind talking about your background and growing up?
I grew up with my grandma at first because my mom had to get her life together. She had me at 16. So, and then after that, she got her stuff together and I was able to move back with her. So it was like a lot of moving and stuff. So like, you know how new schools is. So I used to fight a lot and stuff. And then my mom married this guy who lived in Washington, and that's probably one of the funnest years of my life. We moved to Washington. They got me into wrestling. It was awesome. I was able to get a scholarship, full ride, and yeah, that's when, life changed. I got into drugs, started doing a lot of crazy stuff. I ended up dying twice.
Can you talk about that? Because I know that some people have different perspectives, but I think your story is one of overcoming and having these pivotal moments where you made different decisions. And I know you got some flack on it on Twitter, but I think that's all nonsense. Would you mind sharing that story? I know you've had to tell it before, but I think it's just incredible.
Yeah, so one night, I'm getting drunk, partying and stuff, and I take a vow acid and overnight the shrooms. Then I end up fighting the cops twice, getting tased, and my heart ended up stopping 2 times. And yeah, that changed my life forever. I had to escape the hospital because I was supposed to go straight to jail when I woke up. It was crazy.
You've been through this experience, and I think your approach to how you thought about it is really unique. You talked about how you felt like you saw demons. Would you mind elaborating on that? Because you're a person who believes in Jesus. You have faith. I'm just curious about how you think about those things.
I knew I wasn't in good space. I was seeing demons, so random shows to start praying, and like I said, my body was shut down, and yeah, I had to watch myself fall through a window, and then yeah, it was just in the dream world after that.
Is it a trip to tell this story?
Yeah, it is, and just to see how far God brought me, it's incredible.
What do you take away from the experience, looking back on everything that took place? Some people might say, I couldn't handle that. That would be too scary. They'd have regrets. But it seems like you've taken a lot from that experience.
Just stop saying it's the last time or I'm going to do something later. The time to do it and the time to stop if you have to. It's right now. Don't wait. If you're going to do something, it starts now. Go get it done.
Beautiful. Who are some of your role models when you look back at the things that you overcame growing up? Who are some of the people that stand out that really made a difference in how you look at life?
My mom and God, and all my coaches, and yeah, and certain teachers. They all played an important role in my life and me becoming the man I am today.
Could you talk about your mom's development? It sounds like she went through a lot of growth, just like you have, in terms of being able to bring you back home. What was that experience like?
Me and my mom, we pretty much grew up together, so we butt heads and stuff. But at the end of the day, as all you guys get older, we all realized that our parents were right, and yeah, and I wish I would have listened now, and I would have known stuff. I knew it, but I wasn't listening, So yeah, shout out to mom, you got your parents, listen to what they say, because later on you're going to be like, damn, I wish I would have listened. It's always like that.
Couldn't agree more. How did wrestling impact you? It seems like that almost grounded you. What role did that play for you?
That was huge for me because it gave me a chance to basically like make an image for myself, which was fun, because I didn't know, when you grow up, you don't know exactly who you are. And then I got to see, and then as I got older, I was like, I'm not just a wrestler, I'm a great athlete. I'm many things. And yeah, so like wrestling helped me like literally just learn, how to make friends, how to support people, how to like be kind. I'll just say like, yeah, it was an experience I needed. It just taught me how to work hard and have drive and just have the will to win.
Wrestling seems unique in that way because it pushes you beyond what you think you're capable of all the time. And you're a person, again, I think you look at adversity as an opportunity to grow, not as a weight or a barrier or something to avoid. How did that kind of shape how you look at challenge when you see a new name that you have to face? It seems like you get excited about it, not something that you dread. And I think that might come in part from your wrestling experience.
Yeah, exactly. Because like it's a chance to really see if I'm one of the best in the world, or see if I'm one of the best strikers in the world. Even though I lost, my last fight, I was able to take so much, and now I feel like it's going to push me to a whole nother level that people haven't seen. Like I'd rather take these losses now instead of when I'm in the rankings.
Yeah. When you get exhausted, it seems like that you have more fuel left in you, and I think again, going to wrestling and being pushed, it's one of the most exhausting because all you want to do is take a break, yet you keep going. What keeps that motivation going in those moments where you're exhausted, you're tired, you're ready for food and a break and a nap? How do you keep motivated?
Just know I've been through worse, and and knowing that I'm not going to like battle alone. Like I know God's with me, my teammates behind me, my family, and when you go into war with an army, my chances of wins is 10 times greater. So how could I not walk with my head high?
When you say you've walked through like hell, when you've been through these things, what is the one that stands out for you? Is it that experience that other people think of? Is that night, or is there something else that stands out to you that sits in your mind in a different way?
Like when there was like I got kicked off the team, and I was like about to wrestle at nationals. I just took second at the RMAX, and it was finally my chance to be like a national champ, and just proved that I was wrong. And then I got kicked out of school, because I had to keep coming back and forth for court. So right there, that hurt me big, and for me to able to stay hungry and actually want to go out there and do another sport again, showed what kind of mentally strong person I am.
You hear that when people get injured, that sitting on the sidelines is one of the hardest things to watch the sport continue without you. Is that sort of what it was?
Not that. It's just because I had goals for myself, and when you're right there to getting them, and then it just ripped away at the instant, there ain't nothing that hurt worse.
Right. Now you're in Texas. Can you tell me about how this came about for you?
Well, I ended up joining like KO Reps, and then I got tapped in with Kevin Holland, and then we just clicked like that. He's my big brother. He's teaching me a ton, and I know he got striking. He was able to strike with Wonder Boy, and not a lot of people are willing to even stand up with him. So for him to be able to do it with a broken hand, I knew like he was the guy that I need to learn from, and I could teach him wrestling. And it's just it's looking like a perfect fit, honestly.
Did you guys know each other prior and like have interactions prior, or was this one of the first times really connecting?
We talked to him a few times on Instagram, but yeah, we really connected like after I joined with his management.
Interesting. And so how long have you been out there now?
Probably like 3-4 weeks.
And what has been your biggest takeaway so far? Being able to, you're both incredible strikers. What have you taken away from this so far?
I'm getting better footwork, making sure I'm getting my head off center after my combination, like encountered. When I'm getting pulled back, making sure my hands on my chin. Just getting back to the roots and the basics, and just because I got the finesse, because I was so skillful, I go to the finesse move, but I skipped the basics. So that's where we're just going back and just sharpen everything up.
I'm so excited to see how both of you return, because I imagine he's learned some stuff from you as well, right?
Exactly. I feel bad for people. We're gonna have to shoot on him soon. Once we work together for like 6 to a year, I think we're about to be a deadly duo.
So how long are you planning on staying out there?
Right now, just might go back home, see my team, potentially move down here, but I'm gonna still be repping Warrior Camp, just figuring things out. So I'm about to go home, April 1st, then go to Kevin's fight in Miami, come back, go to Spokane, train for a little bit, and then like I'll probably just keep going back and forth, to be honest.
Really? So this is going to become a normal thing now, eh?
Yeah.
What do you think of overcoming adversity? When you think of moving forward in the direction you are, you have such a positive mindset. You don't seem to, it seems to roll off your shoulders. And for so many people, they get stuck, they get frustrated. This didn't go my way. If one thing had changed, and it just seems like you're just embracing everything that the world kind of delivers to you. Where did you develop this mindset?
Just like throughout life trials, because at the end of the day, some they say like someone's lost, but at the same time someone's gained. It's always like no matter you needed to take that fall so you can get to the gains. Sometimes a bad thing has to happen, and sometimes you got to accept that and make it stronger.
Do you think other people could perhaps learn from you in this regard? It seems like it's really tough in the industry you're in to not take things so personally, to not carry things with you all the time. And it seems like you're just a beacon of light. You've got this amazing smile, this positive energy. And it seems like some people get stuck in the darkness, in their frustrations, in where they should be, where they could be if they had have stepped here or stepped there. And it seems like you really bring a different mindset in that regard.
It's not something, it's like life has to teach you, I could tell them it, but it won't make sense until like they like accept it, like some people can't accept like failure, because they see it as like, oh, it's over. I see it as like, oh, this is what I can work on. This is where I can grow. Versus, oh, now that I know this, I could be easy a world champ, like things like that. You got to be like, ooh, I'm glad this happened, because now I can make the adjustments and be at the level that I need to be. Like when you're cool, but when you lose, that's when you learn.
It reminds me of a quote. I don't know if you know Russ, the rapper, but he talks about like, I used to look at adversity like, why me? And now I look at it like, try me. And it definitely seems like you bring that mindset of like, try me, give me your biggest challenge.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you think is up for you for 2023? What are you hoping to see happen?
The goals still remain the same. I think I can compete with anyone in my weight class. So I just want to be in a top 15 before the year ends. And yeah, my next fight, we're going to look to get this winning streak going and show people what I'm really made of.
How many fights do you think in 2023 that we can expect?
I'm at least try to get 3 to 4 more.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I think that you're one of the most dynamic, but you're also a voice. I think I'm always excited to hear from when you hop on Ariel's podcast. I'm always excited to hear what your thoughts are on the game. Following you on Twitter is always exciting because you bring such a different perspective. And again, I think you just bring a positivity. And in a conversation with Ariel, you talked about how sometimes we get lost with people screaming on the mic, rather than having a love of the game, a love of style, and developing a skill set. Could you talk about that, your thoughts on where we're at in the UFC?
Yeah, just a lot of talking, but the people like to talk to sell fights, but I think martial arts is about honor, so like I said, when I call someone out is to test myself, to see if I can compete, to see how far I can take this thing, and that's the goal. Like anything I do, like why not try to be the best at it?
Absolutely. Is there other areas you hope to develop? Is there areas outside the UFC that interest you or that get you excited?
Just being more on the business side, just making the wise investments. Like I'm gonna get a house here and then in Spokane, and just start trying to make as much money as possible so my family's taken care of.
Any areas that really interest you? I definitely think that your merch would sell really well, and it does. Is there an area that jumps out at you?
Well, I'm gonna get my real estate license, and then I'm just gonna start going like to the East Coast, buying as many houses as I can and renting them out, and just like I said, pretty much like Monopoly, just try to make my money make money.
Fascinating. Where did you get that idea from? Is there people in your life that are influencing you, that are giving you guidance?
Just learning and talking to people, like really talk well to people, like that's how you make money. Getting in real estate, owning homes, renting homes out. Yeah.
When we talk about, like, this is the Bigger Than Me podcast, and I think of you as a person who really looks beyond yourself and tries to take care of your family. You've been through a lot growing up. I'm just interested, what is it like to be a parent now? What is it like to have a family?
It is awesome. It's beautiful. Like I tell people, it's the greatest gift you can ever get. Like it's me. So it's just little me running around, and it's fun, just the whole process, like, and it goes by quick. So I just need to enjoy these moments, and if I do leave out of town, make sure the sacrifice is well worth it. That's why I'm giving this 110%.
Incredible. Is it harder with all the extra responsibility? Is it a gift? How do you try and think about it when you're heading into a fight?
The nerves a little bit different now, but it's a blessing, man, because you gotta, because there's gonna be things in life that's gonna make you feel some type of way. So like I said, I'm glad everything's happening now, so I know how to respond to the pressure.
Is there something you take away from the experiences you've had that you want to instill in your child?
I'm just here to be more loving to him, as loving as possible. I just want to give him the best life possible, whatever he wants, whatever mindset he wants to have, but he's definitely going to know how to work hard. And if he wants something, he's going to know that he has to work for it. He's just not going to be handed down to him.
That's really important. Do you think he'll ever be a fighter? Is this something you want for him, you don't want for him? How do you think about that?
I let him do whatever he wants. Like, he wants to play basketball, football. He wants to be a teacher, go to school. We'll support him, whatever endeavor he wants.
Amazing. And you mentioned looking at the East Coast. So are you looking at both Washington and the East Coast? Is there a side of the country you enjoy more?
It's just I'm just gonna do as much as possible. Be on both sides. Like I said, I travel a lot, so.
What advice do you have for people who are going through their own struggles and turmoils and really having trouble finding that light, finding that positivity?
Positive words of affirmation, and also just start really figuring out how to be alone and be happy. That's the number one thing, because some people they don't know how to be alone. So you got to figure out how to love yourself. And so spend time with yourself, figure out what makes you happy.
One area that I think you're really unique in is that you do use Twitter, and you and Ariel talked about you being on Twitter right before a fight, and it sounds like you went a little bit back and forth with one of those media companies. Are you able to talk about that, what your thoughts are reflecting on that kind of back and forth?
Yeah, it was fun, and Barstool was there. We made amends, so but yeah, it's still screw Barstool, to be honest.
Can you tell people what happened, like the backstory?
Well, they're hating and talking crap about they got knocked out, trying to knock me down. But like I said, that's part of the game, and the only way to revenge that is to fight Patty. So once the UFC's scared or he's scared, we can make that happen.
Interesting. So Barstool, hopefully everything's back on the same page now, but
they were cool until we fight Patty. Then they got him, and then I got to come back with slick stuff too. So,
is that a fight you still really want? That Patty fight?
It doesn't matter what fight I want. Right now, it makes sense. Or, like I said, I don't really care what I fight. As long as I fight, make some money, I'll be happy.
I mean, you would just run him over. I'm sure they'd be worried about that. Come on.
Yeah, they would, exactly. But or he's fighting Drew Dober, so we'll see where he's at real soon.
Interesting. I would love to see you and Drew run it back, because I think you had that for sure.
I do want to run it back with a full camp. After I get the workout here, I might even end up staying for 6 months I think that's going to push me to the next level.
I couldn't agree more. How excited are you about this next coming year? Because I think that the sky's the limit for you. I think you're one of those prospects that just everybody gets excited to see. You bring that positive energy, you bring insights. I'd love to see you more behind the mic talking about upcoming fights, because I just think you have so many insights. Is that something that interests you?
Like I'm about to do like a show where I'm commentating. Like I'm looking to do all that because the main goal is to make sure I have a job after I have this job with UFC. So I'm just gonna show that I can speak well and just looking to just set myself up for life. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, because you're the hype. Like, you've got that positive energy. You've got that Daniel Cormier kind of like getting the people excited about the fight. And I think that's what the sport always needs, is those people who get you excited and invested.
Exactly. So, like I said, we'll see in due time. I'm still fairly new to the UFC. But like I said, I just don't limit myself to just be the UFC champ. I'm looking to do it all, act, whatever, make music. I'm looking just to be everything I can be, Sky's the limit, like you said.
And music, who are some of your favorite voices? It takes a lot to get excited about a fight and to get into that mindset. Are there people you go to get really focused and hone in during a training camp or on that walkout music?
For me, they're my fights. I just like to not think about it, honestly. I might even fall asleep before my fight.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be chilling.
How do you stay calm? Is it any work or is it just comfortable?
It's just fighting, I always been scrapped from my uncles and stuff. Like I live by, like I fear no man but God. That's just what it is.
Beautiful. I really appreciate you being willing to come on today, man. This is our 100th episode, and I cannot believe that I had the opportunity to sit down with you today. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you. I'm so excited about your career. You're my favorite fighter right now to watch, to see go out there. When I see your name on aerials or on a UFC list to fight, I just get super excited, and the ability to speak with you today is just such a trip for me. So I just couldn't be more grateful for you sitting down today.
Yeah, no problem, man. And like I said, for Washington, baby, you guys are all my brothers, my sisters, I love everyone in my city, so let's go.
Awesome. Can you tell people how they can connect with you on social media, Twitter, Instagram?
Yes, sir. It's T.Wrecks 155 on pretty much all my platforms except TikTok. It's T.Wrecks 95. And most importantly, I want to say shout out to Warrior Camp and Pablo Alfonso. And then my family and my son. And number one, shout out to God, Like I said, he's giving me a second chance. He's always blessing me, even during the bad times in life. Like, I was able to get hit in the neck. Like, to me, that's like, God was like, I'm going to punish you, but look, I hit you on the neck. Like, I could have lost my whole grill. My mouth guards that I got needed. Like, just like small stuff like that. I see, like, all right, I know I wasn't doing everything right, so I can do things better, and he spared me, so I get a chance to do it again.
That's such a positive mindset. Can you also tell people how they can connect with you on YouTube? Because you put out some great content of you watching fights, and I think that's just, again, a sign of the places you're going to go.
Yeah, that's Terrance, and then, quotations, T-Wrecks, and then McKinney. That's my YouTube page.
Big things coming in 2023. I'm so excited. I hope people follow along with your career. I had a bunch of people reach out and they're super excited about this episode. So keep up the great work. It's great to see you and Kevin Holland working together. And again, I just couldn't be more grateful for your time, man.
Yes, sir. You guys have a wonderful day and stay blessed.
You too. I love his story. I think the things that he's overcome is really inspirational. Like, mother wasn't there, had to overcome a lot, and has just the smile, like everything's gonna be okay, despite the fact that you've been through a lot. And he could be frustrated by it, he could be jaded by the things he's had to overcome, could be discouraged, thinking that the world hasn't treated him fair, and doesn't. Just excited about going back out there and performing and shining a light on all the people who support him.
Yeah, absolutely. And congratulations on 100. That's an amazing milestone. I was doing some Google searches just to see how many podcasts get to 100, and I couldn't find any results. I did find that only 17% offer video, so well done on that piece as well. So you're definitely knocking it out of the park.
That's the goal. When I started, it was, as I think I told you in the last interview with Linda, the goal is at least 1,000 before I call it a day, because I think I'm capable, I'm interested, and when you get to sit down with people like this, it's a true privilege to have any amount of their time, and I learn from them and I get inspired by them and get excited about the next people that we're able to speak with. So I appreciate you for being willing to support this and invest in this endeavor. I appreciate everybody who listens for being patient, as if you go back to episode 1, again, just completely different than it is today. And I'm very excited about the next 100.
That's great. You are now, to use some UFC language, punching above your weight as far as reaching out to people. What's been your secret of sliding into their DMs, or what's your approach to land these guests?
It's been a transition to try and communicate with people and show them respect in such short communications, because it's not through email anymore. That's not the way that I get people. So I'm not able to elaborate to the same degree of like, this is who I am, this is the goal of the podcast, this is why I think you'd be a good guest. It's like I get 2 sentences. And so I do try and show love and support for the work that they're doing prior. And when somebody comes onto my radar to comment on their posts to say, hey, this is a song I love, or hey, that was a great fight, or start the dialogue prior, so that they know that I'm not just showing up to get their clout, to get their popularity, to get their name, because I think that that's a trap interviewers can fall into, which is I just want to get your name on my screen so I can say that I interviewed you. And I think that that's never how I've tried to deliver this. When people used to come over, gave them a letter just saying, hey, I appreciate you being willing to come out, spend some time. I try and give them coffee and an experience so that it was worthwhile. Now it's different. So how do I show that love and support before the podcast, during the podcast, and after the podcast, so they're not like, okay, I just did this for his benefit and I got nothing out of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Your approach is, well, you're really putting in the work. I mean, it just shows. Next 100 episodes, what are 3 goals you have to achieve in those next 100 episodes?
I think what we were just talking about, really showing love and support to the guest and making sure that they know even after the episode that we have a dialogue. I don't want to just have like, oh yeah, I interviewed that. Yeah, I haven't spoken to them since the interview, to build honest relationships with people where they know that I'm invested in their success and that I'm not just here to get an interview and then I'll contact you at the next interview. Another one is obviously have bigger names. I love that we have different camera angles now that we're able to switch to keep people engaged and to be able to say, hey, we're moving in the right direction, we're switching things up, we're growing. I want to have more conversations with you, start the podcast, the beginning and end with a conversation that people can enjoy so that they know they're tuning in for something consistent. That's a big change I think that's coming. And I think 3 is to be more clear about the fact that I want to highlight people who are overcoming adversity and showing themselves to be a force to be reckoned with. Because I think so many of the people I meet feel so small, like their opinions don't matter, like they don't matter, like they're a fly on a wall. And what you see with all the people that I interview is they just believe they can make a difference and they're going to go figure out how to do that in whatever avenue they choose. And that's what I love about recording this, is trying to find those ways where Terrance looked at his last loss as an opportunity to go learn, not as a way he was disadvantaged, wronged, or slighted, or the ref was unfair or something going on beyond him. He was like, this is just a chance for me to improve. And I think that message can translate if you don't get the job promotion, if you don't get the opportunities you wanted, if some sort of thing that you wanted didn't arrive, you have to go work some more for it. And that's the beauty of life. I don't want anything handed to me. I don't want gifts and like, oh, let's make it easy. I want to earn this. And I see a lot of creators looking at it like they deserve this amount of followers, this amount of views on YouTube. You have to go earn every listen that you get, every view that you get, and be excited that once you get there, it's going to taste so much sweeter. So when Rebecca and I were walking the other night and we were like, wow, like we're in this amazing studio now. We're in this amazing space. We have somebody who's supporting the podcast, you, by being willing to produce this. Be grateful for that. View the last 80 episodes as working to earn that confidence that you've shown in me, that I'm going to deliver, I'm going to show up, we're going to do interviews, and I'm going to respect your time. And so I think just be grateful and work hard is the lessons that I'm hoping to continue to share over the next 100 episodes.
So when you go back to episode 0, you're dreaming up this thing, oh, I'm going to do a podcast. Did you have any idea how much work it would be? Like any fathom of what you would be putting into it?
Definitely not. And it was particularly hard because I went 3 hours. And so imagine the editing for 2 camera angles over a 3-hour interview. That would take me a whole Saturday afternoon, like from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then doing like the editing for like the bios and everything until 11 o'clock at night. And that was that way for the first 60 episodes. It was a lot of work trying to get all of those things set up. And again, those are the times where nobody knows the amount of work you're putting into it to try and deliver a quality product. And so again, to have that initial investment, I had no idea the work that was going to go into trying to make it great. As you know, I was committed to video early on because I want you to see my reaction and the person's reaction and how we jive together over a conversation so that it's exciting to the person to be able to check out this clip or that clip and feel connected to the story. So to answer your question, I had no idea the amount of work it was going to be, but I couldn't be more grateful for your support, for Rebecca's support, for Alex's support in all of this. I'm always doing my best to appreciate you by putting in the work myself and not taking any of this lightly.
Well, under the column of Terrance had said everything happens for a reason. And I know last June, maybe May 2022, you reached out and said, my apartment has flooded. I do not have a studio. I've got a really big guest that I'm trying to interview. It was Mayor Braun from Abbotsford, and coincidentally, you had a flood that you were going to be talking to him about how he dealt with a bigger flood. And you reached out and said, hey, could we do this in your studio? And I was such a fan and just really loving what you were doing and thought if there's any way I could help, I would love to do that. And so that brought us together. And then when you started to go down the path of, I need to figure out how to do some sort of Zoom production for remote guests because I want to go beyond what I can do in my own home studio, I said, let's figure that out. And so I'm happy to have jumped on the bigger than me bandwagon a little later than you, but I'm happy to be helping with the production.
I appreciate it. What made you want to take that jump? What did you see in it?
I get so many folks that come and they're excited about the studio we have here and I want to do a podcast, and it's more of a romantic idea. They don't really have what is their thesis, who's their potential listeners, what are they trying to do? And I saw immediately in you that you had a vision. It coined in the name Bigger Than Me, and then you had the dedication. And you figured out all of the tricks along the way. Like, it's not just a matter of hit record. It's okay. That's the easy part. It's now, how do I publish this? How do I figure out an RSS feed? What podcatcher do I put it on? What this and that? And you keep adding. You added Spotify and Apple Music and now Substack and now you're making a website. And it's just, you're all in. And so if I could help in any way, I said, this is somebody who's got the it factor and going to make something of himself. And so if I could help, that would be amazing. So that's what drew me to you. And you've been, I've never heard someone say thank you or sorry so many times. Like, you're just a quality person. And so anything I can do to help. So
I really appreciate that. Can you reflect a little bit on our interview? We went out to the Ziam wetlands. This is a while ago. But what are your recollections from that conversation?
My recollection from that conversation is my internal body temperature increasingly getting warmer and warmer and warmer as it was like during the heat wave. Aaron said, we're going to take this podcast on the road and we're going to do it out in the sun. It started in the shade, but as the sun went through early morning. So a lot of it was, I have no idea what I said. Other than, I am so glad I wore shorts.
Yes. I think that a lot of people reflected on what they learned about the differences between banks and credit unions and about being financially responsible. When looking back on that episode, I had a few people go like, I didn't know the difference. I just went with TD because that's where my mom was or that's where my aunt was. And I just kind of followed the footsteps. And I think that provided an opportunity for people to figure out why they're with their financial institution.
I think I also had, I saw that you were doing this and sort of hitting people around town and thinking, and then you had asked me to do it. And my immediate being vain, I went, what number is he on? Why am I number 34? Shouldn't I be higher in the ranking here? No, I'm just kidding. I was just happy to be asked. And I think that was part of your growth, right?
Being able to highlight individuals like yourself was the original starting place. I think that there's people who work in the background that we don't hear from, but make a community, make our social fabric richer and stronger, and never look for the credit. You're never out there being like, hey, where's my award for this? How do I get in front of a stage and get people knowing about me? You're very much happy to be in the background, and it's a challenge for you to kind of be with the camera on you. So I just think you're a very admirable person, and I appreciate all of your support with this. Again, thank you to Rebecca. Thank you to Alex. I'm so grateful to be celebrating 100th episode with everybody.